All right, today we're doing a Matt and Andrew Make a Podcast episode.
Yep, I'm Matt.
I'm Andrew, and we're going to talk about something not comedy related. My newfound thing that I was tattooing a lady the other day, and she told me that somebody that I had already let go for several reasons, not just this one reason, was worse than I thought. And this is like more than a year later. So we were talking about why she used to go to a different tattoo artist that worked for me and why she stopped going.
Right.
Because I'm still like, when you have people that are not acting right, sometimes you lose business and you don't know why. And I didn't even bring it up. She just kind of started talking about it, so I had a few questions. But we'll say the artist's name was, let's name a town around here.
Wellston.
Ford. I can't say Wellston that many times.
Okay,
we'll Ford. All right, so the artist's name's Ford. The artist has no gender. So my client's getting tattooed by Ford before she got tattooed by me.
Right.
And Ford's doing a tattoo on her, and they had emailed back and forth and agreed that the tattoo might not stay within her $800 budget, but she couldn't spend more than $800 at that appointment. She gets done with the tattoo, and Ford says, that'll be $1,700, not $800. And she goes, oh, I said I could only spend $800 a day. And she said, oh, I don't remember you saying that. So I'm just charging you how much I charge. You should have asked first.
$900 more.
A $900 difference, more than double. So 7 and 7 would be 14, right?
Yeah. Most calculators.
Way more than double.
Yeah.
So started at 8. And then goes, no, it's going to be 17. And then she goes, okay, I brought 1,000 because I was going to tip you. I can only give you 1,000 a day. I'll have to get your next paycheck. Goes back to work, does her job, takes money she was going to pay her rent with, and brings it back to the tattoo artist that just fucking ripped her off, essentially.
Yeah.
So Ford, in this case, is scamming Ford's own clients. And my client, that used to be Ford's client, was like, yeah, I just couldn't, like, I really liked Ford's work, but I just can't afford that kind of pricing, and I also have to know up front. Like, there's no way I can go to somebody and the price is doubled.
So let me ask you this. Did you saw this tattoo?
Yeah, it's a good tattoo.
Is it a $1,700 tattoo?
About an $800 tattoo. I would say it's a 4 or 5 hour piece. So at $200 an hour, we could say that. Let's say 1,000 to be generous.
Okay.
So if you came to me and I didn't know you and you said, hey, I have a $900 budget.
Right.
I go, okay. Before I start tattooing, I say, I understand you have a $900 budget. Is that $900 today? Or is that $900 total? Because you already gave me a deposit. We'll start there. So you can spend $900 a day. That means you have an $1,100 budget because you already gave me a $200 deposit. We're cool. I will keep it under 5 hours. So that means we won't even get near your 11. So if I tattoo you for 5 hours and the tattoo's not finished, we'll look at where we're at and we'll go, okay, I think we should break this up into 2 sessions. You come back in a couple months, it'll be about another $300-$400. Or I can make your tattoo. I can take things out and go, okay, how much tattoo do you want? And then if we have time within your budget, we can add them. Or I can go, okay, you said you have a budget. You don't want to spend more than the 9 in cash today. So we got to a point where you would usually owe me 1,000. But I like the tattoo. Like, we get to a point where I'm like, okay, it's only going to be another hour and a half, and this tattoo is going to be great. I'll just give you an hour and a half if I have to. That's a $300 value, but it makes the tattoo better. It makes me look better. It makes you come back.
Right.
Long term, it's better for everybody. It's not me giving away an hour and a half of work as much as it is me satisfying my client and them going, oh, he's easy to work with and honest, and I can afford this again.
And this client had been going to Ford previously.
This client
had more work.
This was the 3rd time, I think.
And now Ford has to realize that by doing that once, that client never comes back.
Ford's a fucking idiot. So Ford doesn't know that.
You can't do that to somebody and expect that they're going to come back.
Right. You can't do that to somebody and expect that people that hear about it are going to come back, even if they came before. There was not a good place to get. I was trying to get over, but it didn't work. So that's the thing. Like, the reason I want to talk about this on a podcast was I think this might be interesting for other people to go, okay. Also, I'm trying to figure out, and this is why I just want to talk to you about it. How do I don't want to investigate further and figure out. Now, I knew there were things close to this happening. Didn't know the scale of it. And that's part of why Ford doesn't work here anymore. Like, big part of it.
Right.
Another part of it was just Ford's mistreatment of clients. Like, I'm dealing with a person that used to go, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Ford. I'm glad you booked with me. Give me just a couple minutes. I'm going to go start on the drawing. I'm going to come out here and talk to you about some ideas." And then does your tattoo. And then you get done. You go, "This is the $600 or whatever we agreed on. Cool. Thank you." And then Ford ends up with a $200 tip. And then that person leaves happy. And then they come back and they love this artist. Like, they're just like, "Man, I'm going to keep coming back." That's what Ford used to be.
Yeah.
And then something happened. And I can tell you when it happened. It happened when she started dating her new boyfriend, or they started dating their new boyfriend. When Ford started dating Chevy. Okay? I don't know why, though. Like, it doesn't make sense that you would let somebody influence you from being a great customer, not great at customer service, but being above average,
Yeah.
taking care of your clients. Like, they had their quirks, but every tattoo artist is weird. Like, some people don't like the fact that they get there at noon and they expect me to have their tattoo that I just know vaguely. You want something with a line in it. They want it drawn up by then. And I tell most people as soon as I get a chance to, when I'm talking to them in person, there's stuff that I email you that kind of says, we're going to do the whole thing that day. Like, you're going to get there. I cleared the day. Even if it's a 4-hour tattoo, I might spend an hour and a half designing it. You're going to be in the room with me, though. I'm not going to run off and hide.
Right.
Because I need you there. And it's just easier for me to work my schedule that way. I work more creative. Like, I'm better creatively if I have to do it now than if I go once a week I have a drawing day. And also, once a week I have a drawing day, I'm going to draw something up. You're going to come to the appointment. And then you're going to go, "Oh, yeah, I said I wanted that thing with my grandpa fishing with the pictures I sent you mixed with this and this and this and the mountains in the background and all that. I actually just want a picture of a bass." And I go, "Oh, okay. That's 3 hours I just threw away."
Right.
Or I can design it with you there, and it takes less time, and it's a lot easier. So some people don't like that. So I'm not the best at customer service. I was talking about my dick. But it gets the best tattoo.
Right.
And that's how Ford worked. Ford was getting the best tattoo, doing their best to make sure you got what you wanted, and then something happened, and now they're fucking everybody over.
But also, are people aware? Because this is the only reason that I could think. Which, I mean, I guess, like, people coming in and thinking, okay, my appointment's at noon, it should start at noon. So
Right.
and I know it's going to be about a 5-hour tattoo. I'll be done by 5 if they play. And then they come in at noon, and now's when you're starting the drawing process with them there. And I get the reason why you do that. But now it's about an hour's worth of drawing. So it's not starting until 1. We're not going to be done until about 6.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
People don't.
I get that.
They
But
don't
do they also understand that the timer doesn't start until the needle starts?
Yeah, I make sure they know that. So nobody's stressing about design time costing them money. The point is, I'm just saying, like, every artist has a thing that, like, for some people doesn't come off as the best customer service. But once they get done with the tattoo, they go, "I understand why that yielded the best result."
Yeah.
And Ford used to get the best results because of how Ford worked, and Ford had quirks, for sure. But the thing is, I'm trying to figure out, as a business owner, I can't post saying, "Hey, did anybody get tattooed by Ford between this time and this time? If you did and you felt like you were ripped off, let me know." Because if it's even 40 or 50 people at the price of $700 or $800 a piece, I can't fucking pay them back. Like, and it's not my fault that it happened, but it was at my shop.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I'm trying to figure out, like how do you fix that? Also, completely not related to what happened at my shop, but somebody went and said, "I was going to get tattooed by Ford," walked in, showed them this, and they said $1,400. And I was like, "Did you want it as a back piece?" Like, it was a tattoo everybody at my shop would have probably charged like $500-$600 for. Is about, a little bigger than a phone, kind of detailed, not a hard tattoo to do. And I'm just thinking, like, maybe somebody told them, you know how people get way too into, like, know your worth?
Yeah.
Maybe don't fucking, like, first off, there's a ton of tattoo artists that can do tattoos just as good as any other tattoo
Know
artist.
your worth, but you have to be honest with yourself also.
Know
like,
your worth, meaning know that we're all a dime a dozen. Know, like, I am a good tattoo artist. I am also not that unique anymore because there's thousands of good tattoo artists. Like, if you like my work and then you go, "I can't afford his prices," you could go to somebody that's almost as good, does a very similar thing for a little less. Or if you like my work but you don't like me, you could find somebody that's just as good or better. You just might pay more. There's a scale there.
Right.
But tattoo artists have gotten fucking good. The technology's gotten good. It's gotten easier to make a good tattoo happen. We have a lot of products that help us out a ton that we did not have when we started. Like when I started tattooing, I couldn't start the tattoo, do 3 hours, spray you down with something, wrap it up, walk around for a little bit, come back to it, and have the stencil completely gone, have your skin lightened up, and make it where I can see every little detail better. Also, the machines weighed fucking 9 or 10 ounces instead of 2 or 3 ounces, and they fucking shook like a... It's like, you know when you run a weed eater and your hands are vibrating after? Lower, like higher frequency, lower level of vibrations, but still same type of thing. Like your fingers go numb. Now they don't. So we can tattoo longer with less pain, and we have iPads. We can take a picture of your arm, fucking Photoshop it on there. There's so much we can do now. So tattoo artists that would have been pretty good in the 90s are incredible today.
Right.
Like if you would have been just above average in 1995, you're amazing right now. And there's no shortage of artists. So it's like this idea that tattoo artists go, you know what? I can do whatever the fuck I want is ridiculous. Because first off, people are willing to drive 30 minutes to get a tattoo from somebody they like.
Yeah.
Like I have the client I'm talking about actually used to live in Lawton, lives in Fort Worth now. She comes from Fort Worth to get tattooed by me. Her boyfriend comes from Fort Worth to get tattooed by me. It's only like a 3-hour drive, I think, but
yeah,
it's a nice compliment that people are traveling to you, and they would be, not both of them. Her boyfriend would probably not be getting tattooed by me if she was still getting tattooed by Ford because of the conflict of like, Ford would be saying some things that go, you know what, I don't want to make you mad, and my boyfriend's going to come with me to the appointment, so I'm going to tell him to go somewhere else. But now they're both coming to me, and they would be, my client that's the female I was tattooing would definitely still be going to Ford had Ford just done the price that they said, just said, or even said, and this is the thing, I was making sure my client's not one of those crazy people that just like think stuff's all over the place. I was like, so if when you went and got tattooed and you said $800, if you got to the point where the tattoo was about halfway done and they said, okay, we're kind of at the most time I can give you for $800, we're to let this heal, it'll be probably another $800 or $900, can you come back in like 3 months? She would have said yes and come back in 3 months and got the tattoo finished and paid the same amount in the long run. And the same amount of time would have been dedicated to it.
Yeah.
And nobody would have got ripped off. The other thing is, Ford saying, tattoo is a commission-based business.
Yeah.
Ford saying that they made about $600 on this tattoo. To me. So I'm getting commission on $600. I was trying to figure out how I wasn't making money off 2 of these people. I was like, oh, like I knew there was a little bit. I knew one person was just a complete piece of shit. One I thought never in a million years. 3 people in Besley.
Okay.
3
so
people.
Ford told the client $800.
Told the client $800. Told me $600.
Told you $600.
Yeah.
Charged client $17.
Or sorry, told me $650. My bad. Told me $650. Charged client $17. Got the $17.
And then
paid commission on $650.
Wow.
I thought Ford was paying commission on $650, getting $1,000, which is still not great.
Yeah.
But I can get over that once I fired you. I can go, you know what? That's a fireable offense. I caught you. You're out. But what I can't figure out is how I'm supposed to not be like... I don't want to start a bunch of shit, so I don't want to say who it was. But what I will say is this person owed me money because I loaned them money when their car was about to get repossessed. Their car got repossessed once. And we provided a number of services for this person that would usually cost upwards of $2,000 a month for free. And this person had a bunch of free shit that was just like, basically, hey, I like this product better than this product. Most shop owners go, well, we buy Vaseline. You can buy your own cocoa butter. Or we buy cocoa butter, you can buy your own Astro Glide or whatever the fuck you're using. I don't know why anybody uses Astro Glide, but we use this product. You can either use this or buy your own. This is what's available. This person had all kinds of different shit that I was like, you know what? They're good artists. They're doing really good. They're making me money. I'm going to take care of them. Not like saying I was doing them any favors in that aspect. That was just good business.
Yeah.
But outside of work, we were doing them tons of favors. And I say we, not just me. And you have I already think there's a chance that something's a little off I didn't even really look into it that hard. And I was like, oh, okay, so there's a clear, this tattoo costs this much, and they wrote down this much. That's bad. Then I find out over a year later that it was double what I thought. So now I'm going like, how the fuck were you still broke? Like, how you still pay me back the money I loaned you? Because you're clearly not, you shouldn't be defaulting on your fucking car note. Like, okay, if you're, now I know they're not doing that every day. You couldn't get away with that every day. But if you're making $1,700 just off the clients you don't care to have come back, maybe, that's still probably an extra $1,000 a week.
Did this particular incident happen while Ford still worked at your shop?
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Like, that's how I'm going, okay, so the commission I'm supposed
I thought
to
after
get,
Ford left, client had gone, okay.
No. Yeah, I should have been more clear about that. But, no, so at Avenue, this client comes in to get their second or third, fourth maybe, tattoo by Ford at $800, then gets charged $17 instead of $8.
Most gas stations advertise, hey, 10 miles up on the left.
245
miles.
Keep it going.
Wow, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Just caught my eye.
Buc-ee's is killing the game. But no, it's just like I don't even know how I'm supposed to feel about that. Like, take out all the business stuff, you're ripping me off and your client at the same time. You're making my business look bad because now people think that's how we do. Like, if you go to Walmart and get called the N-word when you walk in the door, you go, wow, Walmart has a problem with their employees.
Yeah.
If somebody that works for me rips you off to the tune of fucking, what was the difference? $900. $900.
Yeah.
Rips you off for $900, but you feel like technically, legally, you're somehow obligated to pay it. It looks like Avenue's a bad place to go. Luckily, this client knew that it was an artist issue, knew it was one-off, and she never told me until I was mid-tattoo, talking to her about other stuff, and we were just kind of like, she was like, yeah, I used to get tattooed by Ford, and I was like, yeah, no, those tattoos are great. Like Ford did some really good work on you. Are you still planning on going back when you get other color work done? Because some people will do that. They'll get tattooed by me and people that used to work for me, and no problems there. They just wear different types of clothing because they don't want to know. And then they report back to me, which is hilarious. But it's just, okay, it's commission that I should have made as the business owner. And I understand tattoo artists sometimes go, well, what are they doing for me? Well, you come into work every day, right? That's part of it. You don't have to pay for that. You walk in, that place, that's what we're doing for you. Then you go grab your paper towels, then you go grab your cocoa butter, then you go grab your distilled water, you grab your alcohol. Then somebody comes and cleans at night. That's not you cleaning. We had people cleaning up their booths for a while. I had people that were cleaning, like I was paying a cleaning person to clean everybody's booth that wanted it done at night and the rest of the shop. And just clean the lower stuff, not the stuff that requires, special skills, just the floors. Most places you clean up after yourself, you give them a commission that's what I asked for or higher, not lower. And they provide, if you're lucky, gloves and paper towels. I provide everything except ink and needles. And I think what I do is how it should be. I don't think I'm doing anything crazy extra. But it cuts down on how much I profit by a ton. And then you go, also, I'm the highest paid person that's ever worked here, commission-wise. I'm paying the least commission. Let me just fucking go a little harder. Now I'm getting thousands of dollars worth of benefits from my job per year. And free advertising. But what is my boss doing for me? Fuck him, I'm going to steal from him. And that is the mindset. It's like, what's he doing for me? Fuck him, I'll steal from him. I've talked to people that have worked for me that said, I stole a bunch of shit from my old boss because they just didn't take care of us. And I'm like, what did you expect me to take care of? And they're like, well, I had to buy my own gloves. I'm like, did they say that when you got hired? Yeah. So then you just start stealing. Like, you agree to a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should probably expect gloves when you work somewhere. But when I hire you and I say, hey, I don't provide gloves, you don't go fucking rob me. But I've heard so many people say stuff they stole from, a guy that used to work for me a long time ago that we've talked about several times, is batshit crazy, told me about all the different things he's stolen for places he worked. He said, I've stolen from everywhere I've worked. To his boss while he worked for me. And then I immediately start watching him, and I go, oh my God, this guy's fucking stealing everything. I never even thought, because it was little shit. He was just, stealing gloves and...
taking a roll of paper towels home so he didn't have to buy them for the house.
I will say that I'm not condoning that, but I also wouldn't call you a thief if occasionally you go, I'm just not running to Walmart. You just grab some paper towels or toilet paper. I really, like, the thing is, the difference is the people that work for me now, they would just go, hey, Andrew, like via text message, hey, I'm going to grab some paper towels on my way out the door. Is that cool? So, like, I'm going to do it unless you tell me no. It's kind of how that would be worded.
Yeah.
That being said, they don't need to. And they know I wouldn't get mad if they did. Like, if they said, hey, I just don't want to go to Dollar General on my way home. My girlfriend said we're out of toilet paper. Can I just grab some toilet paper? I'm like, dude, take as much as you need. Like, whatever. Like, ask every time, but go nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I'll write it off on my taxes. I bought it. It was at the shop. You took it. Who gives a fuck?
It seems
it's a couple dollars.
It seems like now, like the two guys in the shop are
we're dialed in.
Appreciative of what they've got. They understand.
And they know I appreciate that.
But do you think, because now does Ford work for themselves?
Technically, yeah. So it's like a partnership thing. But yeah.
So do you think
you can't steal from yourself.
Ford would never admit it, but do you think at some point in time in their own head they went, fuck, this shit adds up, man. I wish I would have known. I wish I would have taken into consideration how much.
Maybe. But, okay, so there's multiple owners where Ford works. So if let's say we had to split all the bills 3 ways, it is more profitable. Like, if instead of 2 people paying me commission and me running and managing everything, if we all managed 1/3, we all were 1/3 liable, and then we all just, like, okay, the rich checks due, it's $900, we all throw in 3. That technically would be cheaper than our commissions at any shop, even if it's really low commission. So probably not, like, because the numbers are probably fine. The difference is when you're not paying your real commissions and then you go, oh, I actually was stealing so much that I'm making less now. That could be true, but then you'd have to be good at math or at least understand math. And we're talking about a person that couldn't make a car payment that was stealing thousands of dollars a week.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're already taking, if you told me to guess, I didn't have a number because I only looked into enough cases to go, okay, this is a for sure, this is a for sure, this is a for sure. I'm within my rights to fire them for that reason. This happened, this happened, this happened. I have videos. I'm within my rights to fire for that reason. This happened, this happened, this happened. I have somebody that it happened to telling me it happened and I believe them, and I have text message. And there's another reason I have just cause to fire them, even though in Oklahoma you don't really have to have that. I always do my due diligence to make sure if I'm firing somebody, it's the right thing to do.
Right.
I'm not worried about the legalities of it. I'm worried about, like, not being able to sleep at night because somebody's fucking struggling.
But also, like, they're technically considered independent contractors.
They're all independent contractors.
So, like, there's no unemployment.
No.
Yeah.
They don't work for me in that sense. They work at my shop.
Right.
Like, they pay me to work there.
Yeah.
So it'd be very similar to I'm their landlord, but I'm a landlord with amenities, and the amenities are included in your rent.
Right.
And there's a lot of amenities, but it's just the crazy, like, the numbers are nuts. Because I would have said, like, oh yeah, I think occasionally they're writing down 8 and charging 1,000, or writing down 6 and charging 1,000, or they're charging 1,200 and saying it was 1,000, or whatever. All those things, when you go, I'm getting a small percentage of that, and I'm still not technically going to lose money. I'm losing money I should have been paid, but I'm still making money because they're there. As long as I'm still making money because you're here, it doesn't seem that crazy. Once you get to the point where I'm like, oh, I didn't know we could charge $1,700 for a tattoo that's that fucking big and long. Like, it's an $800 tattoo. Straight up. Like, it's not... I was like, did she do your whole fucking arm or something? Like, it was crazy. But I don't know. It kind of blew my mind. And I was like, I got past the whole thing and gone, man, it's just people do what people do. I also learned a long time ago, like, when people steal from you or fuck you over or scam you in any way, it's never a you issue. Like, it's not like
right.
It shouldn't be taken personally, or it's not a personal attack. In this case, it definitely, I don't think it was a personal against me thing. But we did have one person working there that started doing some shady shit towards the end that I do think was just because they were mad at me, because I told them that I didn't, like, we had a little meeting at the shop when some stuff happened, because when Bailey was still there were a lot of issues with people not being very nice to Bailey. And I double checked to make sure Bailey wasn't making anything up. And then I I had just got back from a vacation where I had to spend, I was at the zoo in Denver talking to the health department about somebody's license that was expired because somebody else reported somebody for their expired license, then somebody threatened to sue somebody, and all this crazy shit happened. So when I got home from my vacation that was not as good as it should have been, I basically sat down with each person. First off, that on that vacation, Brandy was getting tattooed by a really good tattoo artist. I asked him, didn't include theft, didn't include bad customer service, didn't include being mean to each other, just said the license thing. I said, hey, if this happened, if somebody that worked for you told the health department that somebody else that worked for you let their license expire, rather than just telling the person that had the expired license and me, their boss, that would double check that.
Yeah.
And the health department's calling you and you have to talk to them and make sure you don't get any fines. How would you handle that? And he goes, man, I miss the days where we go out in the fucking parking lot and beat the shit out of each other instead of being pieces of shit that call the health department. And I was like, great answer. How would you handle it? And he goes, I would fire both of them. I was like, you'd fire both of them? Why would you fire the one that's
For letting
being
their
called in
license
on?
expire?
Letting your license expire, letting it be a problem, being part of whatever argument got you there. The same concept as you two are fighting. I don't know who started it. You're both suspended.
Right.
Fuck it. He's like, the other thing he said to follow that is, how good are they? And I was like, they're both really good. And he said, how replaceable are they? And I was like, well, they have their own clientele in the area. There's not a lot of artists, but I could get somebody, I could pay somebody $2,000 for like a relocation thing. Just pay them a sign-on bonus, pay for the U-Haul, give them $2,000. That way they're kind of set up, and the cost of living there is really low. So I could import somebody from Denver or wherever. And he goes, it would cost you less than $3,000 to import somebody to the town you live in. You can find 5 artists on Instagram in 10 minutes that are as good or better, or at least just honest. I would fire both of them, and I would replace them with one really good young artist that's hungry, that wants to do it. And I would make it very clear that that's how you're going to do shit from there on out. Or I would just stop hiring people and fucking do whatever you want to do, because it sounds like you don't like running the shop anyway. And I was like, good advice, thank you. And I mean, I was already kind of there.
Yeah.
So then I went and talked to everybody separately. And I told one person, I said, hey, this is a situation where I don't want to fire Ford, but I think I might have to. And that person said, well, if Ford goes, I go. And I was like, sweet, no problem with me. Like, I don't know why you think you're so fucking valuable. I didn't say that. And then I went and talked to another person. They were like, I don't even know what's going on. Okay, that's interesting. And by the end of that night, I figured out I had to at least pay attention to everything, like very close attention. Within a month, I was like, oh no, all 3 of them are doing shady shit. And it was just, it didn't fucking make sense. And now it does, because it's like the rewards aren't high enough for the risk when you're skimming like a couple $100 every now and then. You're skimming $800. If you could do that every week or so.
So when you had 32,
I just had 32 because we ran out of space.
but it was just you and Jason?
Just me and Jason, yeah.
And at Avenue, how many artists were there total?
Okay, so there were, I'm not going to use any names just to keep it. So there was Bye, Boom, Boom, Boom. There were 5 and an apprentice at 32 while Jason and I were at.
You can use one name because he's still there, right?
Yeah. So while Jason and I were at Avenue, Matt was also there, but there were a total of 7 artists working for me. For a short time, there were 8 because Bailey was there. When Bailey left, we had 4 at Avenue, and then Jason at 32. So there's 7 down to 6. Sorry. A lot of numbers. My bad. But yeah, there were so many people there I didn't have room. Like, I would go in on Saturdays.
You're not counting yourself.
No. I would go in on Saturdays and I would share with one of the artists. I would share my old booth with one of the artists on Saturdays just so I had a presence there so people didn't think I was fucking, I didn't care or whatever. So I would be in the shop on Saturdays sharing a booth with somebody. We had 5 booths, all booths were filled. And then when Bailey left, we had 5 booths, all booths were filled, but I had a place I could go. But the day Bailey was officially gone was the day I let everybody go. And the reason I waited a couple weeks was Bailey had some threats that I don't think were credible at all, but she was just like, can you just wait till I move? And I was like, yeah, the gas. I'll just try to make an extra couple $1,000. Well, like feels like it evens it out. So then I went and talked to my cousin Matt for like 4 hours and smoked a ton of weed on his back porch and made sure I was like, I'm not missing anything. Like, I'm going to make less money for sure, but I'm going to only have people that I trust and like here, and they're going to be fine. And I shouldn't care if they're going to be fine or not, but they will. And then they end up working, at another shop for a little while and working everything. Everything's great for them. It's not a problem. But also, 2 of them were trying to get me to hire a piercer, and the piercer, I later found out, might have himself been honest, but they had figured out some. I'm not positive on this one. I'm just saying this is what it looked like. It looked like they had figured out a way to make it where he would make a certain amount of money piercing, and they would take some of it without me knowing, as long as I wasn't in the shop. So, like, he could do, let's say, just 10 piercings a day. They had figured out a way where they would make about 20% of that instead of me making about 20% of that, and then I would make like 20% of a very small amount, and it just looked like he's not that busy. And and again, I'm not positive, I can't prove this, but it appeared they had already orchestrated, we want you to hire this guy so we can steal from you. That part I thought I knew at the time. I was like, something seems off about this.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they want this so bad, and I'm doing the math on it, and something's not adding up, and their idea is not adding up. And they were like, hey, we'll put up some of our own money to get all the equipment if you think that's it. I was like, no, that's not the issue. I could buy the equipment. My issue is, where do we put them? Do I have to remodel part of the shop? Like, my issues had nothing to do with that. And then once I looked into all of it, it wasn't going to be worth the money, which piercers can make a ton of money, by the way. But, the whole thing was fucking batty. But it's like, when you already think it's crazy, you already think it's over the top, but then you find out later it's like 10 times worse than you thought.
Right.
Or in this case, what's the difference is 9. So about
It was 110% worse.
3.5 times worse than what was in my head. Yeah. A lot worse.
Yeah.
But I mean,
insane.
it's all just money. But it's like, it's fucking weird. But we're over 30 minutes, so we could call that an episode. I don't know what. I think I really just needed to tell you that. And I was like, if we record it, it'll seem like there's
after
the topic.
After this episode, I kind of want to sell my truck because I drive a Ford, and at this point, I'm like, fuck Ford.
Well,
it's bullshit.
Is, I can tell you Ford's real name because you already know it. When we're not recording, and Ford doesn't even drive a Ford, so I think you're fine.
Okay.
Probably keep your truck.
Good, man.
But
I didn't want to have to go car shopping.
We can make it a little longer of an episode because, like, in tattooing, you know how in comedy you run into so many people that you go, man, I run into so many people that are just great people in comedy that, like, you're in their town, they're going to let you sleep on their fucking couch, they're going to buy you lunch, they're genuinely trying to help you. They're going, hey, I worked for this guy, I'm going to see if I can get you a spot open for him. Hey, here's a list of clubs that are pretty easy to get into. They're always trying to help you.
Yeah.
And those people blow your mind. And then you meet the people that you go, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Tattooing used to be like that. And now I've kind of isolated myself from most tattooers because I know ones that are great still. There's some great people in tattooing, but they're the ones I've already known for a while. But I'm not seeing new people come into tattooing that are great. Like, Bailey's got 2 apprentices that I think are really good people. Like, she's bringing people in that I think are doing things right. I know a couple people like that, but it used to be about 60% fantastic. Give you the shirt off their back, literally. Like, actually would go, not only will I give you the shirt, I'll just wear my boxers. You need my pants. Like, legitimate. I'm not even joking. I think there's 10 people at every convention still I can walk up to and go, hey, man, I know it sounds weird, but I didn't pack any shirts, and I don't have a nice body. You work out. Could I have your shirt? And they would literally go, yeah, no problem. Here you go. It's got my shop logo on it. Fucking advertise for me, buddy. I'll see you around. And then they tattoo shirtless for the day, and then they have a cool story. Like, there's tons of people like that. But the people that are coming into it, and I know it's all the old guard bullshit. Everybody says different versions, and it's usually about work ethic. Like, oh, all the new guys are babies, or all the new guys. This is legit. It seems like tattooing has been mostly good people, and then the people that are bad are noticeably bad. There's always been shitty people in tattooing too.
Yeah.
And it just seems like the shitty people are just fucking flooding in. And the shitty people also, just for some reason, happen to tell you how good of a person they are every day, and tell you what you can and can't do every day. And then do heinous things.
The more you describe it, the more it does sound like comedy.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, Comedy, I don't see a bunch of shitheads coming in. There's just a bunch of shitheads. But I think tattooing and comedy are very similar in the way that comedy right now, I think, is the same mixture of what used to be tattooing. I hope it never becomes what tattooing's currently becoming.
Right.
Like if you go to your average convention, you walk around, there's tons of really nice normal people there. And by normal, I mean, they're covered in tattoos and they're fucking weirdos, but like law-abiding citizens,
Right. Regular people.
They might break the laws when it comes to smoking weed, but they're normal, not crazy people. And then I would say at a comedy festival, you just have a lot more people that like sleep in their car and shit. Because the difference is tattooing, usually by the time you're at conventions, you're making a decent living.
Yeah.
At a festival, you're trying to figure out how to make a living. But there's so many parallels between the two things. And I'm just trying to figure out like what it is that draws fucking dirtbags. Because I don't think it's a generational issue in humans or Americans. I think it's a generational issue in the type of people that want to get into tattooing.
Yeah.
Like it used to be like rough, tough biker types that were like sweet deep down, but like had a facade.
Yeah.
And now it's the opposite. Now it's people who are like, oh yeah, well, we're very inclusive. And if you want to come in here and talk about your pronouns and your lack of a penis all day, we'll just listen to you and we're a safe space. And then the second a person comes in there that doesn't look like those people, they automatically start calling them names and acting like they're a fucking terrible person because they assume they voted for Trump. And then they get in there and they fucking never find out that person's actually a lot more like them than they thought. Like,
right.
It's the shit like that. Like one of the shops I did a guest spot at one time, I told a girl that I knew that was working there. I was like, hey, I think your boss is very nice. And by nice, I mean he's polite and he's good with people. I also think there's something he's hiding. I can't tell you what, but my guess is it's bad enough you should get out of here as soon as you can. And she was like, no, he's great. And I was like, he's got massages from 3 of his employees today. Seems a little weird. Like, maybe it's just a different work environment. But he's gotten massages from 3 of his employees today. He told them to not, they volunteered. He said, hey, rub my back. Like, rub my shoulder, whatever. 3 times in one day, 3 different people have to massage their boss. Now, tattoo shops are different. You have like this balance of like, we're just kind of homies. Like, you're my buddy, rub my shoulders. He didn't ask me to rub his shoulders. He didn't ask the other guy that was working there to rub his shoulders. He just had the girls rub his shoulders. He was over the top about saying how big of a piece of shit every person that voted this way and all this different shit is. He was very, very anti-racist. He talked constantly about how homophobia is a really big problem. And then he was, within maybe 2 years, in trouble for forcibly entering some people between their knees and their belly button in public spaces. Like at a seminar, apparently he put his hand in somebody. Not his whole hand, parts of his hand. I don't know what parts. But inappropriately doing that more than once to different people at places where you're sitting in a seminars are usually in like conference rooms at hotels or they're like small theaters.
Mm.
So imagine if you went to a comedy show, but instead of a comedy show, it's the same layout, but you have a table in front of you to take notes on instead of sitting at a regular table with drinks on it. You have a notepad, an iPad, stuff like that out. And then there's a big guy next to you. And then he forces himself on you during that and somehow finds a way to get away with it. It is the same guy that gets the back rub at work. I wasn't shocked at all. And she defended him like crazy. He was like, why are you like, why? I was like, I'm not telling you got to quit now. I'm just saying, be careful. Start looking for a new place to work because I care about you. I'm trying to look out for you. That person won't talk to me ever again.
The person that you were trying to look out for?
The person I was trying to look out for. Got really mad about that and some other stuff. I haven't heard from her. I've known her since we were teenagers. I have a lot to do with how she became a tattoo artist. She's a good tattoo artist. And that's not the only issue. That's not at all the only reason she doesn't like me. It has a little more to do with I fired some of her friends. But she, since that, like, after me telling her that, she didn't ask me any questions ever again. She was like, very like, oh, that's Andrew. He's over there. I'm over here. We'll be cordial.
Right.
And then, which I mean, I'm fine with that. But like, I warned you about something because I care. And then once it came true, I would think you would go, okay, now that is proven that he was right, I'm not saying I'm going to trust Andrew's opinion every time, but maybe I should just take him a little more seriously, or at least not disregard everything he says as paranoia.
Right.
Because the person was facing criminal charges for doing exactly what I suspected them. I was just like, my guess was, and this is why I said you should get out. She's female, he's male. He has a girlfriend that doesn't live very close to him. He's got 3 women working for him that are massaging him at work. My guess wasn't that he would ever do anything physically forceful, but that he would go, hey, you've been working here a long time. I mean, I can give you a little raise if you help me out.
Right.
Do some Harvey Weinstein shit. Which I'm not even trying to, like, put different levels on it. But that's what I expected out of him, and what he did, I think, is even worse.
For sure.
Like, yeah, like, it was fucked up. So, that's, current state of the union.
I know, like, this is backtracking a little bit, but, like, when you were talking about there being parallel in so many ways, I think the parallel for me is rodeo to being a traveling comic.
Yeah.
Because it's the same, like, I mean, you're traveling, sometimes you're with your friends, you're going down the road, it's a good time, you're going here to do the best at something that you're working really hard at. If things go really good and they do great, you stay in a nicer hotel. If things don't go as great and it's shit, you're either sleeping in your car or you're sleeping in a shitty hotel.
Yeah.
Like, I missed being on the road. I missed rodeoing for that. Just the camaraderie, being around people that are chasing the same dream as you.
Together.
Yeah. It's so for me, that's a lot the same. I've got a friend who was in the military and he was overseas, saw some bad shit, but he came back. Now he works in an oil field. He got out of the oil field because he was away from home too much. So he got a job at a factory close to home. So worked 12-hour shifts. He's home every night, that kind of thing. And it didn't work for him because he needed that oil field because that was as close to being overseas and deployed as
I can see that.
Because they're in bunkhouses together. It's just him and the guys. These are guys we're watching out for each other. We're keeping each other safe. And that's where his comfort was. So I think there's a lot of things like that where you find the similarities between something you used to do and something you're doing now. And you might not even realize that that's the reason you felt so comfortable and started this pursuit in the first place.
Yeah, I think there's also with comedy, like just talking comedy to tattooing parallels. Like, I'm doing crowd work with my clients. Like, when they have their boyfriend over. So there is, like, it's a good place to work bits out. And it's a good place to, like, I've already been essentially working that muscle of somebody says something, I say something kind of snarky back, but it's in a light, fun way where they don't get offended.
Right.
And, like, finding a way to make sure people know you don't mean it is kind of hard. Like, did I tell you about the Marines that came in that I made one joke about them and they explained how hard their job is and that they're really smart?
No.
It was funny. There was just, like, 2 Marines on the couch, and it's just a classic. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, there's plenty of smart Marines. They're not...
Right. You're not calling them dumb.
All of them could be dumb, but it would be really hard. Like, there are hard jobs that are really complicated at the Marines. And they don't need to all be smart. They have other skills. But the classic kind of Marine stereotype is big, dumb muscle head that they can just get him to do whatever, and he's good at physical stuff, but that's it. So people make jokes about them eating crayons, licking windows, whatever, like just kind of calling them special. And I said something about it. I was like, well, you guys are Marines, so if you want, I can explain that to you again. Like, just something silly like that. I wasn't meaning anything by it. And one of the guys goes, our job is actually really hard. Like, we have a lot of intellectual things in our job that are really difficult. And I was like, I was just joking. He goes, yeah, I just want you to know, like, you have to be really smart to be a Marine. I was like, can you give me an example of something that you have to be really smart to do at your particular job right now? And he's like, there's a lot of things. I was like, I just want to know one example. He's like, well, there's like, sometimes we have to show up at the right time. I'm like, what the fuck? And we have to work out a lot. And I was like, dumb people can work out. Like, he didn't make a good case, is all I'm saying. It was fucking hilarious. But I was like, he didn't get that I was fucking with it. Like, I respect Marines. I don't, like, the reason it's fun to talk shit is, like, it's fun to talk shit. Like, they could talk shit about me. They'd be like, well, tattoo artist, fucking, what are you, gay? You just sit in the air conditioner all day and draw on people. That sounds pretty lame. You don't have to be smart for that. I'm like, no, you don't. That's, like, very clear. I met some really dumb, great tattoo artists. It does help some things if you're smart, but I think it helps some things if you don't. That's a 44-minute episode. You ready to?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go to Pryor, Oklahoma and tell some jokes. This has been Matt and Andrew Make a Podcast. That's Matt.
I am. This is Andrew.
I wasn't going to say that. All right, have a good day.